It's recording.
Sweet. So, one of the things Ryder does not do that she did not do in her one shot that I insist upon, and Ryder doesn't because Ryder absolutely hates it. I like to do actual introductions, even though we've been shooting this shit for half an hour. Sorry. Cause it's good to actually know each other. So hi, I'm Megs. I will be your friendly and sometimes unfriendly, benevolent, sometimes not benevolent GM. I've been playing regularly for 3-ish years, on and off for roughly probably 10. Got, into 5th edition in 2014 when it came out, into Pathfinder more recently, and experimenting with other systems for a while. I play 7 games. No, this will be 8. 8 games a week of various D&D systems. So you can pretty much always get at me on this Discord. And I really, really enjoy D&D, as you can probably tell. So that is my intro. I would love to know, a little bit about everyone as players and your D&D experience and stuff like that. And I am going to put Ryder on the spot, and then we'll popcorn it. So go.
I hate you.
I love you too.
Hi guys, I'm Ryder. I'm your friendly neighborhood crazy person. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for going on 4 years now. Picked up 5e about a year ago. Been struggling along with it ever since, but still like it. Like Megs, I have a problem. I'm an addict. My last fix was as of right now. This will be my 8th game. I don't know. What else do you guys want to know?
I'd like to know why you suck so bad. Who said that?
My internet will be fixed Monday, and therefore we will be starting to actually stream instead of recording, put it on YouTube. I mean, it'll still go on YouTube, but hey, I think that's it.
Shit.
What do you like to play? Like, what characters?
I change about depending. I like to fill out the party. But Meg says I need therapy because my characters usually end up being the broody, there's something wrong with them character. I don't start out that way, but it always seems to go that way. I swear it's not my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your sister in the background agreeing that you need therapy?
No, that was her yelling at Handsome.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yes, I have cats. I have 2 cats, 2 kittens, one of which is up for adoption. Anyone looking for a calico kitten in the Wisconsin area, let me know.
That's very far away from me.
Well,
Same.
Do you do shipment?
Ship them? No. You gotta come get them.
I think I'll be paying more for the ticket than the actual.
For the actual
Worth
kitten,
of the
probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's cute as fuck, though. I can forward you pictures.
Ryder, stop pimping your cat.
I've really got a pretty annoying cat.
Ah, see, you know how he is.
I don't need another one.
Okay. So I'll end my introduction now before we get shied off and Meg start to whisper to me and tell me to shut the fuck up. Do you want me to pick someone, Megs, or are you gonna pick someone?
You pick someone.
I'm gonna pick Trev.
I've been gaming for about 20 years now, so gaming's not new to me, but I don't usually do common RPGs like Pathfinder or D&D. I've always done homebrewing. I like making my own systems. I like helping people make their own systems. Yeah, I guess that's about it. I'm a pretty quiet guy. Used to face-to-face RP and pose to voice, so I'm still a little quiet, but I'll adjust.
Sound pretty loud to me. That was a joke.
I guess you gotta pick someone now, Trev.
Rokas, go ahead.
All right. My RO name is Rokas. I'm from Lithuania. I wouldn't. Well, I started playing D&D a year ago. My overall experience is about half a year of D&D, but I've watched 150 hours of D&D provided by the Yogscast. Yeah, that's basically it. I tend to go for comedic characters when it comes to D&D. So yeah, that's
Awesome.
Unless anyone else wants to ask me a question or something, then that's it.
Where did you say you lived?
Lithuania.
Cool. I can go next if no one else has any other questions.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. I'm Ashy. You can call me Ash, whatever derivatives of that you want. I really don't care. I've been playing 5e since whenever they started to roll out Adventures League. But I took a break for a while, and I haven't really been in any long campaigns, which is something I'm trying to rectify. Recently, I've been exploring other systems. Had a Paranoia game for a while. That was ridiculous. Do you know Paranoia?
I've seen it played. I've never played it, but
It's a good time.
yeah, it looks like fun with the right crew.
The first 3 missions I ran, I lost all 6 clones in each mission. I had to roll a new character every time.
Nice.
It was, yeah. Aw, cat's so cute. Aww.
Damn it, Ryder! If you derail the cats with cats one more time, I swear to God, I will server mute you.
Yeah, that's basically it.
All right. I think that leaves us with Cars.
No, I'm pretty sure we're all done here.
Speak up, buddy.
All right, so my name's Carlos. I'm from Texas of USA. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for about, I want to say 8 years now. I started back when I was 18 in 3.5. Friends invited me. I figured, why not? It was a pretty complicated system, but I enjoyed it. DM was horrible. I liked the game, so of course I made a campaign for myself, and people just migrated over. I felt bad, but whatever. And I've pretty much been stuck DMing every other single game I've ever played with Dungeons and Dragons, except for maybe a month or so ago when I got invited into this group, and I've been a player here, and I've been enjoying it. I have probably most experience with Finder, and that's about 4 years. and I'm completely new to 5e, so I'll probably be asking a lot of questions, and I'm sorry about that. Outside of that, I'm a normal salary man, 9 to 5, stay up late with these guys. I have a dog. I'm Mexican, so I know Spanish. Yeah, no, that's pretty much all I have.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys for indulging that. I think it's super important to remember like the people behind the whole computer thing. Like, I had an issue with some people recently forgetting that everybody's people, and if we talk to each other, we can solve anything. So I like to begin my groups with an introduction to help everybody remember that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it helps.
Jeez.
Ooh, his introduction. Ah.
Ryder, shut your freaking mouth.
Um.
See, now right there, if I had remembered that Ryder was a person, I probably would have said, Ryder, please be very quiet.
I'm
No,
not
I think
a
it
person.
came out exactly how you wanted it to.
Yes, but
Yeah.
that's because it's Ryder, and I'm allowed just on Ryder because listen, guys. I spend like, what do you figure, Ryder? Probably literally 24 hours in games with Ryder in the course of a week, because we play eight games together. We play Monday, Tuesday,
Well, I don't play
Wednesday,
your
Thursday,
Tuesday.
Friday, and twice on. Oh, you don't play Tuesday? Okay, so we play 7 games together in the course of a week. We play 5 days, twice on Saturdays. So we probably play 20 hours across the course of a week. So I'm allowed to abuse Ryder a little bit if that's what it takes to get through a week. And vice versa. She's allowed to abuse me a little
You
bit.
monster.
Just a little bit.
So I'm gonna ask you guys something, and Megs is gonna try to tell you not to do it, but I need you guys to do it because it makes it look pretty and easier, especially for new groups. If you
We'll
can
get to
all,
that.
if you can,
We'll get to that. We have a lot to get through before we get there.
but it looks pretty when it's done.
Ryder. Who's the GM?
Who's the one recording it?
Ryder. We'll get to it.
I've got a cute tenor on top of my computer watching us.
Patience.
Hi, Tenor.
Patience. Young
Okay.
Padawan.
Ryder, if it's going to drive you to name thing and whatever, get that out of the way so you're not interrupting me every 5 minutes.
Hey! Oh look, Aku caught on! Yay!
Trev and Carlos are like, dear God, do it before Ryder has a meltdown.
Ashy and Rokas, if you guys take a thank you.
One sec.
So we do that for the stream, and Mark started it for his stream, and Ryder has adopted it for her with the changing your names in Roll20, simply because it makes it easier to remember A, who plays who, and B, who's speaking at any given time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to fight against it because I'm like fight the power, and I'm very anti-conformity, and also it drives Ryder and Mark really, really twitchy, and it's super fun.
Well, it helps the recording and it helps a new group understand whose voice is who and who's playing what.
How?
Fight the power.
Oh no. I'm gonna have to find an abbreviation for you, Rokas, because you just fucked it all up.
Just go samurai. You can be a samurai.
Put samurai.
Alright,
I
fine.
hereby declare that fighter monks.
Thank you.
Mine is staying on one line, and it's killing me.
On my screen, it's
If it makes you
double.
feel better, on my screen you're on 2.
Oh.
You have a really big screen, don't you?
Probably.
I'm jelly. I'm on a laptop.
Oh, no.
You know what, Carlos? Not everybody is a rich Tex-Mexican, where the cost of living is like less than I pay in land taxes.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah,
You know, technically.
but you know what? Like, kids in my school actually learn things, so there's
Whoa,
that.
whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm pretty smart. Thank you.
I'm just busting on you.
So
Let's
Very
not go
good.
there. Okay. Anything else for the recordings and streamings and such, Ryder?
no, that's it.
All right, cool. So the next thing I was hoping to go over is as far as you guys' expectations or what you want to see out of a campaign. So the first question I have for everyone, and I'd really like you to answer, is if you had one wish, one thing you want to get out of a D&D campaign, what would it be?
A girlfriend.
A Ryder.
You are not about to pimp me out.
What would I want out of a game? That's a tough question.
I just want a full campaign, to be honest. I've already been part of 2 campaigns that ended like midway, so
Yeah, that's a good point. This is not is this an adventure path type thing?
This is not. This is one that, this is a homebrew.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with him. I would want, if possible, a satisfying ending, unless this is one of those games that just continues forever.
I mean, I just want to be part of a campaign that lasts for like a decent amount of time, not just, you know, abruptly ends without any reason apart from real life causes.
All right, so basically you're asking me not to disappear.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. I can do that.
Quick, throw the smoke bombs.
And maybe a very powerful magical item at level 3 for me only. I would love that.
Huh?
I'm joking.
I
I know.
want attachment. I want a group of people that are playing together, and the group of people, the characters themselves are friendly with each other and grow attached, so that when one of us dies, it's actually a thing. Instead of, oh yeah, you'll just reroll.
So you want the characters to become invested in each other.
Correct.
Okay. And Ashy, what would your one wish in a campaign be? There are no wrong answers here, so it can be a pony. Do you want a pony?
Okay, I should have asked for a pony.
It's a trick question.
I want to have a character and not just a token that runs around doing things. Like,
So
we're not just people fighting whatever we're thrown up against.
So
We
you
have
want a
stories.
story and not just a series of dungeons. Is that what I'm...
Yeah, but even if we could do a series of dungeons, as long as like there's a reason for there to be one.
Right. So more of a storyline and more of a plot than just... Is that kind of what I'm getting? Like you want to be a participant in a story? I'm trying to make
Yeah,
sure I'm understanding
think so.
properly.
I don't even
Okay.
know. So yes, let's go with that.
All right.
I want depth.
So basically things that make sense.
Yeah.
why are we following that kid that turned into a fox and now running away from us?
All right.
Where did this dungeon come from?
Why are we running into this forest?
Right. Like clearly because the forest is there. I mean, come on.
Why is there just a random gypsy locked to her caravan in the middle of the forest? And why is there a guardian in the middle of the forest? So many questions.
For me, all I'm looking for is a fun time. So as long as it remains fun, I'll keep coming.
All right.
That's what she said.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my.
Oh boy. Anyway, in terms of tone, what's everyone interested in? Like, are we looking for very high fantasy, something gritty and realistic, something silly? What kind of tone is everyone looking for?
A bit of everything for me. Like at some points, I'd like it to be like serious, and but at some points, I'd like it to be like comedic, and so on. You know, just
So sort of balanced?
yeah, just a sprinkle of everything, but like at the right time.
Hmm.
All right.
Hmm.
I like high fantasy, but more like realistic fantasy. If that makes sense.
Could you elaborate for me?
Not Disney fantasy, more Grimm Brothers fantasy. That things actually make sense. That some prince isn't going to show up and suddenly make everything better again.
Okay, I can see where there's the possibility that maybe the mermaid does evolve into Surf, or maybe she gets the prince, is what you're thinking, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Or where Snow White actually dies.
Okay, so where there's the chance of things not going well, so it's got that sort of gritty chance of failure, and not the Disney every ending is a happy ending situation.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Ooh. I like
Yeah,
that.
I think that's what I like to see too. So I'm right on board with that. I like our choices and stuff to be meaningful, both the successes and the failures.
I would
Alright.
just want consistency. Like, it can be silly, it can be horror, it can be serious, but I don't want it to be where we just witnessed a NPC die and then someone's making a joke like right afterwards. So as long as it like stays on a path as opposed to just jumping around with the genres, I'd be okay.
To be honest, my character would do that, maybe, depending on how.
All right, well, he
serious
has
the
to go.
situation is.
He no, we're at it now.
In all fairness, I've had to leave a calling hours because I was cracking up. Some people handle grief that way.
Right, no, and I mean that if that's the character, that's fine. But I mean, like as a GM, you know.
Right, yeah, not turn moments of tragedy into levity and try to maintain consistent tone.
Right.
No,
To
I'm
make
not.
transitions feel not jarring is what you're asking, right?
Right. Yeah, dark humor is fine, but yeah, you got it.
Right. So to make transitions from moments of, for example, moments of horror into moments of levity feel natural.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm not saying like I'm gonna burst out laughing at a funeral or something like that. It's just, yeah.
You've got mail.
All right. So how does everyone feel and where like level of language or adult like violence, gore? I mean, obviously there's violence, but description. What's everyone's sort of comfort level with that stuff?
I'm fine with anything.
Yeah, no complaints. I'm fine with anything.
I'm fine with anything. Just don't make my character have sex because I'm 17 and that's probably sketch.
That's super sketch. Yeah, I think we have a couple of you guys who are young, so it's never going to be like graphic, and there's obviously no like pressure. Like you're not going to be expected to. No, just bad. No,
So PG-13, if anything, more fade to black.
exactly, absolutely, exactly.
Yeah. I'm
And
good with
that's
that.
all on you guys who are younger. Like your characters, I expect your characters to behave your fucking selves, okay? God damn it!
Act your age.
Don't make me
Okay.
be your mom GM, okay?
Stop picking up hookers.
Exactly.
That's my job.
God
What
damn
else
it,
are you
Ryder.
supposed to do with money in 5e?
Hookers and blow. Hookers and blow.
Ryder. Can you set an example? Ashley said like 10 seconds ago. I love that your response to a 17-year-old in the room is hookers and blow. Can we be responsible adults for 2 seconds? Clearly not. Anyways.
To be fair, the owner of my game store told me to do everything he would do when I went to prom. So
Awesome.
you're already better than that. Good role models.
Awesome. Cool. There we
Great
go.
role models.
Don't
And
do
we're
anything
only
I
telling you
would-
to pretend to do everything we would do. So there we go.
do anything. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you do, name it after me.
There we go. I'm just being a smartass. I'm not gonna like treat you different for being 17. I'm just playing with you. Hopefully you know that. If you hadn't gotten this by now, those of you that don't know me well, I like tease people and play with people. It's how I relate to people. I grew up with a massive number of cousins, so busting chops is basically the only way I know to interface with people. It means I like you, I promise. Anyway, moving on. As far as length of campaign, both in terms of real time and how, like, what level you guys are thinking of going to, how far into the future you're thinking of playing, what are you guys looking for? I know we briefly touched on this, but in specifics.
This is the song that never ends. Because all
Probably
the
per session, 3 to 5 hours is good. I can go more. My games last at least 7 to 8 each week, so I'm fine with that. And as
You are
far
like
as
an Iron GM, Carlos. That's wow.
I like to please my players. Take that as you will. And as far as long term, I don't know. I'm fine with it being 5 years long if you want.
All right, cool.
It can be as long as you want it to be, as long as
Yeah, as long
it's-
as the players are present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep the consistency with when it comes to like interest, an interesting story stuff.
Yeah. Session wise, I'm fine with anything, but I start college August 19th, and I have no idea if I'm still going to be able to play at that point.
Just
Sorry.
Well,
schedule
hopefully
your
you will.
classes around it. It's fine.
amateur.
It's going to be 5 p.m. on a Friday night in college, and I'm going to be in my room playing D&D with that, actually.
You got your weekend ahead. You're fine.
Embrace the nerdism. Embrace it.
Trust me, you're gonna get invited to D&D games all the time in college. You'll have all the time in the world.
I hope so. Yeah. I figure at least the first week, possibly 3 of college, I'm probably not going to be able to make it.
Yeah, you are going to be so busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's and definitely as far as like missing sessions, that's okay. Normally if we're down 1, I say generally continue. If we're down 2, normally I say I don't like to have to miss with 2. But we'll see how things go.
Usually down 1 we continue, and that's what the YouTube recordings are for. Down 2, that's when we start considering a one-shot.
Yeah, a one shot or just playing, board games or just taking a night off, because sometimes some of us are okay with a night off, Ryder.
Never.
Ryder's over there getting like the itches just thinking about a night off.
Oh.
At least no one needs to stay up till 3 a.m.
I do that on purpose.
The only thing I think I would like to add is I don't know if anybody else is this way, but I prefer a little bit slower progression. I don't know if that's a thing for anyone else.
You want to earn your levels and not just be handed them to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I generally use the milestone system where levels happen sort of as at the speed of plot. So that sort of does fit in with that. So we should mesh pretty well in that regard, Trev.
I'm literally literally my opinion is that I'm fine with anything as long as it's interesting. I just want it to be interesting. That's it. That's one of the reasons I like D&D is because it's interesting.
Cool. As far as in the game, are you guys more the kind of players who, like, I'm trying to make sure that this game is tailored to my players, because I have like a pretty well fleshed out idea but I want to make sure that this is fitting for what you guys want to do. Because I can come in here with a pre-made adventure and run you guys through it, or I can take like a skeleton and tack onto it and make it what works for you guys and engage you guys. And that's what I would rather do. And that's kind of why I'm asking so many like sort of sideways and in-depth questions, because I really want this to be built to the tastes of the players. So I'm sorry for the third degree, but I promise, hopefully, it will be worth it.
That is absolutely fine.
Is your
Um,
favorite color?
Ask away.
So as far as what kind of game, like, would you guys prefer like one overarching plot, a series of linked adventures? How long should linked adventures be? How long should quests be? What kind of like how do you guys prefer that kind of thing? How do you prefer your storylines broken up, I guess, is the overarching question that I'm asking.
I like arcs that kind of, like at the very end, you're like, huh, that all fit together for some weird reason.
Yeah, I like arcs with mini quests in between. That way, you know, of course, we're keeping busy in between arcs. But if for whatever reason at the end of an arc, if someone needs to like leave, that's a good stopping point for the whole party to stop, and that's the end of the adventure, or to just like open a new chapter with one less person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Well, I haven't played a lot of D&D, so I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But I think I'm fine with anything.
All right. Trev, thoughts?
I know I'm pretty much fine with anything. I like a little bit more sandboxy, but that's about it.
All right. That's funny because that was exactly prefer stuff that was pre-planned or open sandbox.
Sandbox, definitely.
All right. Is the general consensus that you guys prefer like here's the world, go do stuff?
Sandbox with once in a while the GM going,
Granted,
where the fuck are you going? Come over here again.
yeah, railroads are fine if they need to be. Like, don't just not have them. But yeah, sandbox.
Yeah, and I mainly mention sandbox because a lot of other GMs that I've played with, they railroad you completely. Like you can't get off the railroad, or you like gain their ire.
Trev and Ryder, I don't know if you guys probably know this. I actually had trouble because kind of like poked around and weren't sure. Like I tried to telegraph like, hey, there's this option and this option, and they weren't like couldn't decide what they wanted to do. So like I almost like under railroaded them. So I'm like trying to learn the balance of okay, it's okay to like there's a balance between no railroading and dragging someone by the ear.
Right. When it gets to the point where we're on our like third side quest for no fucking reason, and you're just like, why the fuck are they in this random field that I have nothing prepared for? When I've got this perfectly good quest chain over here. You could just have a random child show up, be like, hi, my daddy wants to talk to you, and then run away or something.
Okay. So like I shouldn't be afraid to like nudge you guys when you're just like doing random things that aren't conducive to an overall plot. Is that the consensus?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So sandbox with nudges would be our general
Correct.
agreement.
Yeah, and I mean personally, I think to start the campaign, you might want to railroad a little bit until our characters have bonds and more reason to stick with each other.
We have transcended railroads. You're on a ship at the start of the campaign.
There's nowhere for you to
It don't
go.
get any railroadier than a ship.
I
What if I
mean,
want to jump
All
off the
right,
boat?
guys, time to jump ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Carlos just got eaten by a whale.
Oh, hey,
Game over.
whale, not even a shark. Hey, boys.
No, my last friend.
All right. So as far as balance between combat and puzzles and roleplay and skill challenges. What kind of balance does everyone prefer?
Balanced.
Oh, definitely puzzles 80%, combat 10%, everything else the rest of the 10%.
Carlos, get the fuck out.
Okay, no, yeah, no. Balance is good. Probably more. If I were to pick an order, wait, what were the 4 categories? Combat, skills, puzzles, and what?
Roleplay?
Roleplay. Okay, so
I mean, obviously, if there's anything else you'd like to see, like, weighted in there, I mean, I'm just saying in general, these are the kinds of things that appear in a campaign.
yeah, that's all I can really think of. But if just to put them in order for me, my importance, it would be roleplay, combat, puzzles, and skills. Just because skills are just roles, and you can't really put much into it, but they are important.
I agree.
Okay. Other thoughts?
That's a little bit of a hard one for me to answer. I like a balance mostly, but I mean, as long as I don't think I'll have to worry about not being able to role play with this group, but as long as it doesn't become a hack and slash game, I can handle it.
What was it? Roleplay, combat, puzzles, and what?
Skill checks.
Skills checks.
Alright,
So like, hey,
That
I want to
reminds
jump
me.
across this hole.
This
there we
This
go.
might be a bit hard, but Ryder, I think it would be best for the party if you did your best to adjust role playing for each individual character. Because if we're just dealing with, for example, nobility most of the time, the bard is probably going to handle most of that role playing, as opposed to if we were to talk to, I don't know, a battalion of fighters, and it might be, one of the clerics or the rogue. So try your best, if possible, to change up the role play so that each and every character has a chance to actually contribute.
The reason that doesn't happen so much in the other groups is because we all don't want to be that face in the other groups. So it's always one person that steps up.
Right. So I'm trying to say, force it. Force it so
Right.
other people have
So
to
we
come.
have an opportunity, since I'm homebrewing this, to make that more of an option, I think is what you're saying, right, Carlos?
Yeah. Don't forcibly rely all the role playing to revolve around diplomacy, bluff, and intimidate.
Right. And also give everyone an opportunity to shine in roleplay. I think that's a really good point. And since it is, pretty much everything else that we run together here is adventure paths. So I really appreciate that input. That's not something I had considered. And thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just from the one shot that I did for you guys, I could tell right away that this was going to be a different group than our normal group,
Mm-hmm.
because you guys are all so eager to tell that story.
Infinite food.
Infinite food. Yeah. Which we didn't go over the flower mechanic shit, Megs. We gotta remember to do that till later today.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get with you on that before we go into our second session.
Yeah.
So since I did mention we're going to be starting off on a ship when we get into the actual roleplay, what kinds of things would you want to or expect to see in a campaign that starts off on a ship? Like, what kinds of encounters or situations would you expect or want or not want during the time spent on the ship?
Journey for One Piece.
The One Piece is friendship. Everyone knows that.
Hey, don't ruin it for me. It's not friendship.
I don't know. This is probably just like me myself. I don't know if anyone else expects this, but whenever anything, a show, a movie, a game starts off on a ship, I always expect there to be more traveling in the campaign. So that's just like an expectation. It doesn't necessarily have to happen, but I'm assuming we're going to go to a very multiple different varying lands each time. Martian one, desert second, mountains third. However, that's just something that got put into my mind.
So are we? So what percentage are we of the time are we going to be on the ship? Like on what?
I had not planned for it to be a very long portion of the campaign. It's mainly sort of an early introductory, form party cohesion, get an introduction to each other and to how we play, how IGM and how we play together. Sort of think of it as almost like the tutorial level.
Okay.
So
most
probably
of
a
the
couple
campaign-
few sessions.
So most of the campaign is going to be on land then.
Most of the campaign will be after you get off the ship, certainly.
Oh, okay.
That was very specifically phrased.
Whether
I
we
am a
can get back
GM
onto
through
the
and
ship.
through. Here's the thing. When you GM, you get used to phrasing things almost like a fairy or a genie. And you have to, because otherwise you're either a liar or you give things away. So yes, most of the campaign will take place after you get off the ship.
What
And
happens after
underwater.
that, we don't know.
Underwater.
When my players ask too many questions, I flat out lie to them and get their hopes up.
Aww.
You shall meet with the gods.
I will never lie to you guys, but you will often feel that I have lied to you.
She's very good at using the phrases "as far as you know." From what you can see,
There are times when Ryder is listening to me GM my Strahd campaign and she knows the actual answer to something and she'll be like, but you just said, oh. So, now you know.
that way when you roll that perception to find the hidden enemies and you don't find them, but they're really there, as far as you could see, they weren't there.
I'm gonna love this.
So it's just gonna be. I don't know.
I am very honest. For example, if you roll that 17, you don't see any traps on that door. What you do with that is up to you. And then when you open it and you get that fire arrow to the face, like, sorry man, the DC was 18.
You didn't see it.
Okay.
Just keep that in mind that that's how we play. Sorry.
I find it to be more realistic
Also-
that way. That way you're not, like, willing to metagame as much.
It has worked pretty well in my other 5th edition. Like, it sounds kind of callous the way that we're describing it. It has worked pretty well in the other 5th edition campaign, and you'll get very used to it. I promise it sounds like way jerkier than it actually ends up being. Anyway, so we were talking about what you guys would expect for the parts on the ship, or would want or not want to see. Did anyone else have any thoughts?
On the ship?
Treasure.
On the ship. Treasure?
Yes.
Like pirate treasure?
Or
just general treasure? You gonna
maybe
loot the
like
ship?
a legendary sword. Just a bit. Apart from that, then it's up to you.
To start, I don't think I'd have any expectations, just to see where the story leads me.
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right. And once you're off the ship, if once you hit dry land, what kinds of things would you want or expect to see, in an adventure? Like, are there specific kinds of adventures or quests you guys would really like to see, or?
I want to be betrayed.
What?
Like, like an NPC gives us a job, we do it to our best ability. It turns out the NPC was using us as a means to do something evil, or it turns out that what we did put a whole town in danger, or I don't know, something, and then we gotta fix it.
Huh.
I don't
I
know,
like
that's just
it.
an idea.
That's neat.
Or maybe it's a trap from the very beginning.
Have we already broken Kaku? What happened there?
Hmm?
Normally, when they get that way, they've been playing a campaign for a while.
I'm gonna be right back. I need to put a leash on my cat.
Right.
Is that a normal thing people do with cats?
My cats try to escape, so I frequently say I'll be right back. I'm putting my cat in a box and I'm crating him. So maybe he's doing the same kind of like using a leash to prevent escape attempts. I don't know. I feel like there's a correlation between cat people and D&D people though, and that amuses me.
I need to.
We're used to chaos.
I think the thing I would like to see is some hard choices, not just black and white things.
Oh, you mean like press this button and you save
Cut
this
out
one
again.
person that's in charge of a nation, but if you press this button, you'll save 100 people.
Sorry, 100
So-
people, you did.
So like some trolley problem type stuff, Trev, that kind of stuff? Or just choices where your character needs to make moral quandaries and stuff.
Yeah, maybe both options are bad, and we just have to choose the lesser evil of the two.
Okay.
I mean, I enjoy the moral quandaries part, so I guess more like that.
All right.
Or the choice that your paladin had to face the other day. You could pick the old woman or the young daughter, but choose.
Pretty sure that my paladin chose to kill the guy who was trying to make him choose which one to die. But
Yeah, but that
That's
wasn't a
'cause
choice that was put
my
up.
paladin is like paladin on steroids.
That was a good choice, I think.
Yeah, my paladin is the paladinest paladin to ever paladin. Like, my paladin has literally discussed theology with a new convert while riding a unicorn and then leapt off said unicorn to go smite a demon alongside angels of his deity. Like, that is how
my
paladin my paladin.
God.
And that, right? And that was in campaign. Like, that is an actual in-campaign encounter that happened. So that, like, my paladin is the paladinest paladin ever.
That sounds like a tapestry that'd be hanging in a church.
Right?
Doesn't it?
Seriously.
We were talking about it, and I'm pretty sure that when Lucius wrote home, like, even his name is even Paladin. His name is Lucius. I'm pretty sure that when Lucius wrote back to the Order of the Dawnflower about this encounter, they were like, "Yeah, sure, that happened," because it's just like peak Paladin. They were like, "Yeah, we'll file this with the fan fiction."
He's so paladin that we went into a roleplay situation that we fully expected some yelling, but instead he just stood there and was like, "No, this is how it's gonna go. Just talk to me. Hug it out."
He turned her depressive and sort of broody gunslinger into a soon-to-be Inquisitor of Sarenrae. It's horrible. He's so righteous. It's just amazing.
It's kind of sweet. You almost don't want to take it.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I get off topic. He's my character that I love. Like, I love him.
I think the entire campaign is awesome. So
Understandable.
Yeah. So you guys kind of want more of a roleplay heavy, story heavy, character driven thing is what I'm getting.
yes.
Probably.
So
Yeah, but-
Carlos and Ryder, I'm feeling sort of the way that something flavored sort of the way that Sean runs a game in terms of character choice driven would be sort of
Yes.
appropriate for.
Yeah.
I think that would work. Yeah.
And Trev, you watch Feather Cloaks, right? You've seen Feather Cloaks?
Yes, I've seen parts of it. I tend to watch it in the background of doing something else.
Yeah. But something sort of similar to how Sean runs it, where it's more character driven in terms of, character choices drive the plot, and then how we react to the plot drives for their plot would be what you guys are looking for, from the sounds of things.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because Ashy, you said you wanted to play a character rather than a token, so sounds like that's sort of what everyone is on the same page, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
Sounds like what we want is that 10 session later something happens and we're like, fuck!
So, does anyone have any sort of roleplay pet peeves that really get under your skin that I or other players might do that are like deal breakers, or you really have issues with, or anything like that?
Vocalize. Try to keep from doing the typing. Because if you vocalize something, it gives more people more opportunity to react to it, other than just typing something. The only time I really embrace the typing is if there is a heavy roleplay action going on right now between one or two characters, and you want to give your, oh, my character is leaning against the door listening, kind of thing.
This is more of a pet peeve of mine, and I feel like regardless of the group, because everyone gets along, it's going to happen often, and in every group that I've played in, it does. But during the game, when we're actually in game, we're talking as players, we're interacting with the world, I would appreciate would do their best not to get sidetracked and then kind of go off to talk about rules, go off to talk about, this is what I'm going to get when I'm at this level, or, talk about other things like real life, just because it kind of pulls away from the game.
Breaks the immersion.
Yeah.
That is a good point, and I know that is something I as a player super need to work on.
Feel free to call me out if I start veering like that.
Yeah. Also, Carlos, you need to start calling me out when I do that in games that I play with you. No, seriously, please, because it's a bad habit, and I know that I'm probably one of the worst culprits in some of our group. So.
Same.
Yeah, like I said, it happens in every group I'm in. So even in my campaign, it happens just because people like each other's company. They like to talk about things. So it's normal.
In that regard, it's almost a positive sign. It's like, hey, people are getting along and chit-chatting.
Yeah.
But it's time and place. So I will try to remember and kind of round people up and say, okay, guys, let's focus for this campaign.
But yeah, now that you gave me permission, I will bring it up if it happens.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, because that's a habit that I am recently aware of. So if you don't mind doing that, I would appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. And that actually brings me to my last point on the whole Inquisition portion of our evening.
May I just please say something about the last question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In one of the one shots that I had to play in, I was basically forced into a certain role play, which for me it was uncomfortable, and the role play was there was no way out of it. Basically, it was forced. Well, basically the role play was a homosexual act, but in game the GM didn't give me any option to get out of the role play. It's like I was saying, oh yeah, I would like to roll a strength check to push the guy away, and he was like, no, you can't do that.
Well, that's just bad DMing.
That- Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well, I just one of my
no
pet
one
basically
should or
pet-
ever will be forced to roleplay anything with which they are uncomfortable with in this group.
All right.
I can
Um,
assure you that if anyone is ever uncomfortable with anything that happens in this group, you are absolutely not just asked to, but I beg you, say, hey, can we take a second? I'm not comfortable. That's actually the next thing I was going to talk about. If you ever have anything going on that you are upset about, not happy about, even just think could be improved, I would please love to, like I said, I'm really big on having open communication. I am 100% here to be approached. I'm not going to take shit personally. I'm still learning and improving as a GM. I ran a one-shot Tuesday that ended in a horrible, disastrous TPK on an encounter I thought they would steamroll because I didn't take breath weapons and their ridiculous power into account, and I overtuned the encounter. So I'm still learning, and I'm still learning how to manage groups, and if anything you ever feel could be improved, please approach me. Please feel free to approach each other and be willing to be approached. And like I said, at the start of tonight, we're all people, and if we all remember that, we'll do great. Communication is 99% of solving social problems.
Adding on to that, she brought up a good point, and this is something I like to ask. Does anyone, like, aside from the role-playing game aspect, does anyone have any, this is probably the worst way to ask it, but like trigger words or anything that outright they do not like talking about, like say terrorism or animal cruelty, which I think, Ryder and Megs would hate. Things like that they just are not okay with. Period.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I usually, if something gets uncomfortable, I usually ask, can we fade to black? That's my tactic.
So the other night when you guys were trying to use that horse as bait, and I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that, even though it was a summoned creature.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like squicked out. So I guess even summoned animal cruelty that where the animal doesn't actually so the animal cruelty I guess is one for me. Just because I've dealt with it as a shelter volunteer and stuff that it's not pleasant for me to deal with. So guys, please don't use summoned animals as trap finders.
Yeah, see, that's something I would have never known or guessed.
Yeah.
I'm fine with anything as long as it's not a forced situation in game.
Yeah, no.
Like out of game, like me personally, I'm fine with anything, but if it's something that's forced in game, then.
So this is not the party where we're going to knock out a kobold, heal it, and then throw it on a rope, right? Because I did not enjoy doing that.
Torture.
No, they kept it as it was ugh,
A trophy?
as a pet, like
like
a
a slave.
sentient pet, a talking sentient pet. It was horrible.
Well,
So like a slave, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm perfectly fine with not doing that.
I mean, I think if someone becomes uncomfortable with a certain situation, just say it.
Yeah, I've encountered most situations in RP games, and I mean I've been guilty of doing a couple of them too. So just speak up.
All right. So it sounds like we're all pretty similarly on the same page on that, which is super relieving for me. I really am really enthused about this group, you guys. So to switch gears entirely, who wants to talk about house rules? Because I have a ass load of them.
Sure. Is that an accurate measurement?
It is.
Can we use this in game?
If you can make it believable for your character, I will give you inspiration.
I actually, an ass load is more than a shitload. And
Really?
a shitload is more than a ton
Because it
load.
contains a shitload.
Right.
Oh man.
So my first house rule, I know a lot of people are particular about which knowledge you roll. My thing is you roll according to your thought process. So for example, our sorcerer might roll Arcana and the cleric might roll religion to identify the same thing. So trying to identify an elemental, the religion roll might need a higher roll because it requires more expertise. But if that's what thought process your character is using, roll it. Because that's how your character is thinking. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to bind you to certain knowledges because I think that's kind of silly. I mean, we've obviously all are probably pretty wide read. We all know how many random things you can encounter when you're reading on a given subject. So it's perfectly possible to have encountered some random scrap of knowledge, no matter what the subject is. So roll for your thought processes is how we identify things or try to remember or learn or know things.
So my character will be smacking every magical item against the wall. To see diplomacy.
This is
Man,
how it
if
works.
you role play it, if you role play it, that is perfectly viable. And in that vein, I also allow acrobatics and athletics to be completely interchangeable. You're probably not going to dodge a falling rock with athletics very well, or lift a boulder with acrobatics very well. But talking about things like swimming, climbing, etc., where you could reasonably using your quickness or raw power interchangeably, roll per how your character is trying to accomplish it.
You could try kicking the boulder away.
Exactly. Things like that. If you can role play it to where your character is using athletics for something like that, then 100%. Absolutely. I see skills as being used to roll to see whether what you're trying to role play is accomplished. So what your character is doing, roll for what your character is doing. A lot of people say, oh, this is the role to do X. I don't like that mentality at all. Does that make sense? Am I making sense, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. This one gets into a little bit of a touchy subject. I will allow you to use strength for intimidate, intelligence for inception, or wisdom for diplomacy. However, if you do this, A, you are locked into doing this for your character for the entire campaign, and B, you must convince me with roleplay every time you wish to make this roll before being allowed to roll. So if you don't convince me with roleplay before you make the roll, it's an automatic failure. But I will allow you to make that skill switch.
What was the third one?
The wisdom to diplomacy.
Okay. Is diplomacy even a 5e? Oh, persuasion?
Persuasion. Apologies. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Everyone does it. Don't worry.
I think I meant deception, actually, now that I'm thinking of it.
Oh, okay.
Because I like to leave persuasion as pure charisma, because it's also the only one that doesn't come with potential consequences of a failure. I was also running on zero sleep when I wrote all of this down.
And we've also been on a Pathfinder kick.
Yeah. I've come to the conclusion that I am now mainly a Pathfinder player who also plays and runs 5e, which is a very weird transition for me because I used to hate Pathfinder. But I like to leave, because there are no consequences of a failure for a plain persuasion roll. But if you try to bluff, intimidate, or deceive, there may be consequences. Not always, but an NPC may not like it if you try to do those things and fail. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
So if you choose to take those things, understand that A, you will be expected to role play it convincingly before you are allowed to roll, and that B, an NPC may not like it if you fail the roll.
I mean, that's pretty natural.
So I consider it pretty strong to be allowed to use those other attributes. So that's sort of the counterbalance that I put on it. Is basically you become a performing monkey for me. Flanking. We do flanking. We in order to be qualified as flanking, you have to do it Pathfinder style. So you have to be able to draw a line from your token to an ally's token that goes directly through to opposite sides of the enemy token. And if you do, you get advantage. They also have to actually be threatening, so you can't be to your sorcerer whose both hands are empty, you know, unless they have a dagger or something in one of those hands.
Okay.
The enemy gets this as well, right?
Yes, of course.
Why do I feel like everyone's taking various notes and I'm just sitting here?
Oh, I'm going to put this all in a handout. I mean, I'm going to have to format it, everything, and all of these rules will be put in a handout. So if anyone's trying to take notes, don't worry about it.
I mean, everything pretty sounds like basic rules.
It seems
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah, like
It's not
it's yeah.
Like, I try to just make it like more player friendly because there's some stuff that's a little I mean, I'm a firm believer in making sure that the system facilitates roleplay. And so any house rules that I have will augment making sure that the system facilitates the story.
I mean, the rules just sound realistic to me, to be honest.
Cool. Let's see. I let you gain all of your hit dice on a long rest. I know some people do half, some people do all. I do all because there's the possibility of you needing it. As I've said, I have this unfortunate habit of sometimes overtuning an encounter slightly. And death saves, we're going to do death saves a little bit different. Your death saves will start at a DC of 5. Failures will raise the DC of the next check by 5. Damage taken will raise the DC by half the damage you take. I think it stands to reason that you know, you're taking damage, it's harder to stabilize. You will add your con modifier, so there'll be con saves instead of just you know, flat D20 rolls. Is everyone good with that? Does that make sense to everyone? And are you okay with the house rule?
And it's still just 3 failures to death.
Yep, 3 failures, death, 3 successes, auto stabilize. A critical failure counts as 2 failures, a critical success, and you gain 1 hit point.
Do you refresh the saves after you come back up, or are they kept until long rest?
I'm not sure on that. I feel like they should, be they successes or failures, I feel like they should carry over until at least a short rest. On account of, because that's sort of like an ongoing like damage and fatigue and weariness. Does everyone feel that way?
Sounds good.
All right.
Oh, I kind of remembered one of my pet peeves, I guess. Player versus player is kind of a pet peeve. I'm not here to kill anyone else's character, and I expect that to be the same with everyone else. I've been in a couple of games where my character pissed off the rogue, and then the rogue just slit their throats at night.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not-
not. Yeah, I super agree with that. Character conflict is never a reason for player conflict. So, if your characters are having an argument, that's fine. You're not like, I'm not down for like, now we're going to fight and you're rolling attacks and stuff. Whatever your issues player combat. Barring any confusion spells or charms or things like that.
Just a quick question for the play. How does everyone feel about getting trolled? Game
Oh,
in character.
Actually,
Actually, yeah, just overall, because I'm not like not in a harmful way, but like for example, getting your shoelaces tied together.
I don't like character pranks.
I, as a person, don't mind. My player, on the other hand, thinks very highly of himself, so he probably would. But I don't mind if you do it.
All right.
I
Because
don't mind.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
There you go. Okay. I don't mind just like, but with everything, if someone is uncomfortable and they tell someone to, step off of it,
Okay. Yeah, I'm not the type of person who takes a joke too far or prolongs it for too long. Okay. Apart from Ryder and Trevelyan.
I mean, my character wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't mind.
We can all gang up on you for like a reverse prank. Bonding.
If you guys make it to port, he may find himself tied to the masthead, and that's okay.
I love it.
Hey, at least everyone else will have like permanent dicks drawn on their forehead.
I'm okay with this. This is hilarious. Speaking of permanent dicks drawn on your foreheads, I will be using an infamy and a claim system that will track your deeds and give newly encountered NPCs a chance to have like heard of you guys, depending on their region and how famous you are. So draw those dicks if you have to, but I mean, you'll become those guys with the dicks on their foreheads.
Is this a party based or player based?
Primarily party. If, for example, Ryder kicks a puppy and gets seen by the mayor, then I'm probably not going to penalize the party unless the party defends her against the mayor when the mayor calls her out for kicking the puppy.
Got it. Okay.
Also, was that a promise or a threat about being known as the people who draw dicks on each other's faces?
Hello?
Super duper abusable. Basically, role play well, and you are more likely to do what you want to do.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say about the like about the story and stuff. I would like it if the story was that of basically like a certain decision or a certain act needs to like a certain event, basically. So for like a decision can branch off into into many different events, kind of thing. If that makes any sense.
So things like where your previous choices sort of affect what happens further down the line.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, definitely. It's not going to be like where it's not going to be Mass Effects where your choices have no ongoing consequence.
Yeah. To give an example, in the series I'm watching now, they save the miners, but at the same time, the people who are controlling the miners, they gather resources from another area. But if they were to like defend the resources, then the miners would have suffered. It's just something like that, basically.
That makes sense. Let's see. I already told you guys about the milestone leveling, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rule disagreements or debates. I'll make a quick ruling, which will hold for the entirety of that session. And after that session, we can research, discuss afterward to determine the correct, and if there's not an official, then we'll just make an ongoing ruling. That way things will kind of carry forward and not get bogged down into a 30 or 40-minute rule debate.
Good. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. I am so tired of 30 and 40-minute rule debates taking up sessions, and I'd rather we not. I mean, it doesn't happen much in 5e, but it can. And that way, just, hey, I don't know if this works this way or this way. We'll make a quick determination. It'll hold for a session. And that way there's no going back to it like later on in the session and it get going back and forth. And just it'll hold for the session. And then after the session, we'll figure it out. And it'll, from after that session, a permanent ruling will go into place. Sound good?
Absolutely.
I love it.
Cool. I'm super not trying to let anything get bogged down or debatey or anything like that. Also, in the interest of keeping things moving, if you have your action ready at the very start of your turn, as in if I say, okay, Rokus, it's your turn, what do you do? And you say, I do X, congrats bonus to whatever action that is. However, if you tarry too long, like more than a couple minutes, and I mean, I'm not going to penalize you if we have to like clarify positioning or questions to me, but if you're tarrying and you're like, oh, I don't know, I have to look up this spell and I have to do this and this and this, I reserve the right to rule that you are paralyzed with indecision and skip your turn. Combat is an intense, tense, fast-paced thing. If you're ready to go at the start of your turn, you get a bonus. If you're indecisive, your character may be just too indecisive and not get an opportunity to act. Remember that a round is meant to be about 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to use this as a cudgel or be a dick about it, but it's designed, you know, the +1 is the carrot and the potential to miss your turn is the stick. Sound good?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just a question about that. Like how much time would you give a person to make a decision on that turn?
Oh, definitely a couple of minutes. Like I'm not going to be like 3, 2, 1. There went your turn.
Oh, okay.
Like certainly a couple of minutes. It's more like, you know, you have a couple of minutes, and beyond that, if you're still like back and forth on it, like we're going to have to start looking at whether your character, you know, can you figure out in a couple of minutes a decision that your character would have 6 seconds to make. Does that make sense?
It's just the way you said it. It's like you're gonna give everyone like 10 seconds to decide.
Oh gosh, no. Your character has 6 seconds. And so to sort of go in with that and to keep sessions sort of moving along and to keep the sort of feel of the tension of combat, if we could each try to keep things to a couple of minutes. And again, barring like GM questions and things like that, that's totally like outside of the realm of that couple of minutes.
Sure.
Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yes.
And is everyone okay with that rule?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2 questions.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
What are your questions?
One, does that bump up save DCs too? If you're like casting a spell that has a save instead of an attack roll? The plus one.
If it has a DC but no damage, yes. If it has damage, it would go on the damage and not the DC.
All right, so if I fireball, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm getting into this hypothetical. I can't even cast fireball.
No, it makes sense. These are things we should probably hash out now rather than when they come up.
And I hit like 5 goblins. That's +1 to each, +1 to 1. I don't really care. I'm just curious.
Plus one to the damage. I mean, you would roll the damage once, so it's +1 to the damage, and they'd all take the same damage. So.
All right. And then the other question is, are you gonna like be on a stopwatch for 6 seconds talking during combat if someone's trying to like do a persuasion roll or something?
No, I'm not an asshole. I'm just trying to make things like keep up the tension and the feel of
Flow.
combat. So definitely not a stopwatch under any circumstances. I definitely feel like stopwatches enter the realm of the asshole.
Speaking of flowing,
But certainly if you're trying to make like a 3-paragraph speech, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that probably isn't a 6-second speech.
That's fair.
But that's just gonna be me having a conversation, not me sitting on a stopwatch. That's just, common sense. Sound good?
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, Ryder.
speaking
What
of
you guys-
flowing, just to ask, because I know it could come up, it differs GM to GM. Are you going to rule action / spell work the same way I do? That if it's like the player makes an action in character that doesn't make sense character-wise, for instance, let's say they cast an enchantment spell on an undead. Everyone knows enchantments
Yeah,
don't
if
work
your
on undead.
character would know, if you do something that wouldn't work and your character would have known that it would not have worked, like the example she used, every spellcaster knows that undead are they immune to it in 5th edition? Anyways, if you do something that everyone would... Victoria, shut it!
Sound liking these rules.
They don't, or at least command doesn't affect undead.
I think she
So if you try to do something that like everyone or your character specifically would know doesn't make sense to do, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work, you get to make a different choice because you as a player haven't spent like years and years practicing this thing. I'm not just gonna say, yeah, you try that and it doesn't work, fuck you.
Okay.
Because back to the whole Megs is not an asshole thing.
Alright.
However, if you forget something that would make sense for your character in character to have missed, we may rule that your character missed it. For example, we recently had a situation where a character or a player forgot that a certain item they had cast a spell that went off on touch on and went to cast another spell that required them to touch it. Well, they got zapped by their own spell because that's like a sort of thoughtless thing that happens. And the GM ruled that they probably forgot because the player forgot, and that's a thing that happens is you forget that that's a touch thing. You know what I mean? As opposed to everyone in the world knows whether their spell is going to work on this creature or not.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget a lot, so.
I'm
like I
not
said-
out to do any gotchas. I'm not like against you guys. Does that make sense? I know some GMs are like that, like they're trying to trap you guys. Not my deal.
Mhm.
It's not GM versus player.
Exactly, and I have firmly ranted against certain GMs who I have heard about, who have a tendency to make it that way. No names shall be mentioned. Brian.
You should check that cough out.
I should, shouldn't I? Let's see, where was I on my list? Oh, so I really don't like how crafting is handled per the 5th edition rules. I talked briefly with, I think, Carlos about this. I don't have a whole system fleshed out yet. So what I do know is we're going to do something a little different. What I know is you're going to have to devote some time and some gold, but like not half your life and all your savings, like as per the DMG. You're going to have to provide the spell either I don't have the whole thing fleshed out yet. I will flesh it out. I'm assuming you guys aren't going to want to start crafting at level 3 because most of the spells you have access to at level 3 aren't really craftery spells yet. So certainly very soon I will work up a more in-depth system for how I'm going to work out crafting, but it's going to be more feasible and more player friendly than the existing rules as written system.
Sounds good.
Are you gonna
Cool.
let us like make our own magic items too?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Because you can't really use your gold to buy magic items. So one of the things I would like you guys to be able to do is invest your gold into crafting them for yourselves. And the honestly, the rules as written, it's simply prohibitive and it's not reasonable to try to do. So I'm going to try to find a way where it's not going to be like Pathfinder where you just go in with a list and like walk out with every magic item you have ever wanted. But you will be able to craft items for yourselves to use. Sound good, everyone?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Can I craft myself a legendary weapon at level 3?
At some point, probably, yes.
Not at level
That's
3.
You will
Okay.
also be able to research skill, language, and tool proficiencies during downtimes, as well as to create and even modify spells and abilities during downtimes. So pretty much, if you can imagine how to modify something that your class can do, you can pretty much figure out how to do it. I can't promise it'll be easy. I can't promise your character is going to like whether there are consequences or costs, but we can work it out. We can figure something that could allow your character, if you want to, say, modify, if you want to do a cold version of Fireball, your character can research, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take gold. But your character can try to research and create that spell. And certainly for you martial characters, if there's a martial something you want to do, I'm open to your character, in character, coming up with new things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to stay within the realm of the reasonable. I'm not trying to make it so that you guys, I don't want it to become overpowered. So no, you're not going to do something that's the equivalent of a 7th level spell as a 3rd level spell. There are going to be checks. It's going to require resources, but you're going to be able to sort of enhance your customization, essentially, is what I'm talking about, through in-character research and effort. Or if not research, then practice for martial types.
Alright.
And speaking of consequences and cost, I believe firmly in failing forward, so do not ever be afraid to take an in-character risk or to try something. There will be unexpected outcomes, but we're all here to tell a story. So, yay! That's my long-ass list of house rules. I wanted to open it up. Are there any house rules that you guys favor that you'd like to present to us for consideration?
I'm new to the game, so I have no idea about house rules.
All right.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have any. Oh, I should probably bring this up again. Like in the one shot, in the other one shot, I chose a broom as my uncommon item. Is that okay with you, or should I choose something simpler to handle?
You chose the what now?
The broom, a flying broom, which I don't mind changing it out because I know flying players means you're gonna have to have a way to hit them, and then that's just making things a little bit more difficult.
I mean, I'm okay with it. Are you okay with the potential consequences?
Yeah,
Okay, then I'm perfectly fine with it.
cool.
All right. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to go over was character introductions. We will get to backstory in a minute, which means Ryder, hold off on the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping you could each briefly go into your character race, class, appearance, and personality. Anybody?
One second. I'm Aiden.
Guys, don't make me make you roll initiative for a conversation. For fuck's sake.
Okay, I can
fight before we introduce ourselves.
I can start.
Thank you.
So just what my character looks like, basically, and what he is. Right.
Yeah. Race, class, appearance, and personality. We're going to talk a little bit about backstory and who they are in a minute, but I have kind of a special way I'd like to address that. So.
Okay, so my character's name is Udoki Jira. He is a Tabaxian samurai. Tabaxians have the same, basically, lifespan as humans, so he's 22. Medium in size, 7 foot tall, weighs 82 kilograms, has yellow cat eyes, basically, gray fur, gray hair, and yeah. Oh, and personality, right? Basically, Udoki isn't really scared of danger. If he comes up to if he faces danger, he's ready to take it on. And because he has been trained by someone who he trusts, he is very confident in his strength. Maybe a bit too confident. In times of when there is no danger, he is very silly and comedic, and kind of laid back as well. And yeah, basically get serious when needed.
Awesome. Thank you. Next.
I can go next. Little bit of a disclaimer though, I generally get more involved in my character after a couple of sessions, so some of this might change minorly. It's just kind of the way I am. I'm going to be playing Malachi, a rogue elf. He's kind of a worldly individual. He's traveled a great deal during his long life. He's almost always calm. He doesn't let his emotions control him. He's very loyal to people who have earned his respect or his friendship, and nothing else about other people can be relied on after that. Unless you have his loyalty or his trust, he will not consider you to be anything of important. It's kind of a dick that way. As to his looks, I will just share my portrait because I'm terrible at describing other than that. That is generically how my character looks.
That looks pretty sick.
I like it.
What's the tattoo?
It's going to be like a elven family crest type tattoo thing. Other than that, I haven't decided